Guys, what are we doing today? Well, we are going to look at the differences between custom, mid-tech, and production. So there's some big differences, but there's some real big similarities, especially between these two. So we're not going to talk about it yet. We're going to talk about production first, right after this. So the first one we're going to look at here, guys, now that you saw the logo, is production knives. And production knives are simply that. You know how production knives work. They're done in a factory. Now, the difference between this and some of the others is every piece of this is made in a factory. But the thing is, you never know who's going to be making what parts. On Monday, there might be a guy that's milling thumb studs. And then Tuesday, that same guy might be running the machine that's doing the scales and things like that. And they're done in big batches. So you'll have a lot of blades get made at once, like hundreds and hundreds, maybe even 1,000. They might do a run of 1,000 blades and they all get heat treated the same. They all get done in the same process. And so they're doing multiple blades at the same time. And then all those parts get done and they get sent off. There's a lot of really good production knives out there, and production knife quality has really stepped up. But you're never 100% sure where all the parts were made. You're never sure, like it's done in a fashion where like this part will fit every other knife. They don't have to worry about like fit up and things like that. They're all exactly the same. This one has gotten something on it, started patina, which I'm cool with. But it's pretty much every one of these knives that you pick up are going to feel almost the same. Like there may be some little differences in some of the things that are done by hand at the factory, like tensioning the lock bar and things like that. So you may have some slight variations in the amount of lock bar tension and things like that. But the fact is, they are going to pretty much, any one of these is going to look exactly like any of the others. It's going to feel exactly like any of the others, which can be a good thing. That means that you can get a knife out that you're guaranteed no matter where you pick it up. Everyone's getting the same level of quality. Everyone basically is getting the same knife. Your standards are all going to be the same on this. There are some problems with that, though. There's not as high a level of scrutiny on these as there are the next two that we're going to look at. One has, I would say both of them have a very good level of scrutiny, the next two. And a lot of the companies now, their QA definitely is higher than it ever was before. Things have definitely improved. But you may have some lemons that slip through because the amount of scrutiny when you're making thousands of knives at once is definitely different than when you're making one at a time, or possibly two or three at a time, which is how the next couple work. But production knives are all around just a good bet. They're going to be your cheapest version. It's going to be most easily accessible. I do like the fact that there's a lot of custom makers that have started doing things as production knives so that you can get a good high quality version of a knife that typically you couldn't touch. But all in all, production knives are the bottom of the food chain when it comes to like the quality level in knives. And the next two are really not just a step in the ladder, like you skip several steps to go from here to what is next, mid-tech knives. So mid-tech knives are they have a lot in common with production knives, but there's a big difference. So in the production version, the designer is not involved at all in the production of the knife. So when you get a production knife, that design was sent by the designer, who's typically also a knife maker, and that is done production in the production house. With mid-techs, what happens is these parts are outsourced. The blade was blown out water jet, and then there was some work done with them on like double disc grind to get your edge bevels and stuff, so that your blade came out pretty good. Then you order your screws. So for Elliot, the guys that did water jet on the blades, did the water jet on the handles, and then this went to a place called SDPM for milling and things like that. The final assembly is done on a one-at-a-time knife basis with a mid-tech. So they get all these parts in, and they basically, the boys would sit down when they did mid-tech stuff, they would sit down and they would do specialty finishes. They would do all the finishing. When you get these things back from waterjet, these holes are kind of there. They're just markers, and they would have to drill out all these holes. They would have to hand thread all of these, and then they would get your screws, and they would hand assemble this knife, do all the fit up. The lock bars are ground by hand. They do the fit up and the marriage on that. And so you're going to get a lot of the things that you'll feel in a custom knife, which is you get a different feel. Each one of these knives is going to feel a little bit different. Every one of the Fortises that came out are going to feel a little bit different because they get hand fit up. Everything is done. The break-in period that they do for cutting in the washers, they drill their washer pockets. This basically comes milled here, but there's none of these holes are actually fit to size. It's just a blank scale. All of these holes are then drilled, threaded. Hardware comes from somewhere else, then gets installed and put in. And so there's a lot of finishing touches. And one of these knives can take 2 to 3 days to do the full assemble and fit up on, especially if you're doing like specific finishes. Like I've got blacks. I did the refinish on this, but the blade finish on this, it took days to do. This would be something that you could add in, you know, you would basically ceramic this, then mask it off, and then do a refinish of the scales like I did. So there's ceramic in all these low areas and on a pocket clip. But this would be something you could order on a MIDTECH. Same with this. This was a Gavco collab with them. The parts came out. Half of the parts went to Mike over at Gavco Knives, Mike Gavick, and the other half came to Elliot. There were only 100 of these, so you're looking at much smaller numbers. So they're going to do a run of about 200 and assemble them in the shop with some of those custom touches. But the fact that they did a lot of the machine work off site, it allows them to focus more closely on this and pump out more knives than they could if they were doing one at a time as a custom. So that takes us to our next batch of knives, which are full custom knives. So both of these, I can, like a lot of people to argue with me, that's not a custom knife. The fact that John Grimsmo made every part of this, with the exception of the bearings, the balls that are in the race, everything else is just raw parts. Titanium round stock for screws, Delrin round stock to make the bearing races, steel round stock to make your pivot and screw. All the screws are made. Everything is done in-house. This is just materials that he buys and machines, and everything is done in his shop, like I said, with the exception of the ceramic balls that he drops in the bearing race. So in my opinion, that makes this a full custom knife. And people are like, oh, that's different. It's not. If it's all made in-house by either one person or a select group of people, then that's different. This is another full custom. This is a Matt Diskin full custom Tonto. Everything on this was sourced and then manufactured by Matt, with the exception of some stuff. Like there are a lot of makers that purchase screws. Steve Kelly makes a lot of screws for knife makers. He's one of the big ones. But, you know, custom pivots were made. And then this knife is completely hand done and tooled. So in Matt's case, Matt ran the machine that does this. Matt did all the milling on these. Matt did all the fit up and build up, and Matt tuned the action and then built in the secondary, that auto feature that's on this. So big difference between these and even the MIDTECHs. So all of this, everything you see here, this was just a sheet of titanium. John Grimsmo cut this out. This was a sheet of the ivory micarta and a sheet of titanium, and Matt did all the milling on this and did the workup and the action. So same thing. Like this was not like parts that came off a shelf or parts that got ordered and it was blown out on water jet. They just basically cut this out on their machine, do the blades on the machine, do everything. Like I said, in this case, I'm not sure if Matt uses Steve Kelly screws and pivots and stuff like that, but I do know that every part of this, except for the little balls that run in the bearing race, was done and made in the factory, in the shop at at Grimsmo Knives. So there's 3 different versions of knives. There are other ones like fixed blade. There are some different knives that are out there that are done custom, but done a little bit differently. There's a lot of guys that make their own pins and handles and stuff like that. I've made custom knives, and I have used water jet to get parts water jetted out, but then all the work that was done with that was me. But I've also done it in a fashion where I used an angle grinder and drew a template on a sheet of steel and cut that out by hand and then did the work. So there's a lot of differences, and people don't understand why custom knives. Like people are like, well, why does that cost $1,000? And when you think about the amount of work it takes, because at the point they were making this, I think there were only 3 people working there. It was John and his brother and then like one other guy. I think they have like 5 people now. So still, that's a lot of work when you're doing everything in-house. Matt does this all by himself. So when you're looking at a knife that costs $1,000, there's a reason that price is incurred. And there's a reason why MIDTECHs are a little cheaper, and then production knives are the cheapest. So trying to compare the 3, is like trying to compare apples and oranges, but you know, there's still like, I wanted to delineate this out because people scoff at the, and they just like scoff, I mean, at the price difference between this and a MIDTECH. This is twice the price of MIDTECH, and a MIDTECH is going to be sometimes 3 times the price of a production knife. But when you look at it as the work that goes into it, it's perfectly explainable. So I wanted to do some little bit different videos than we looked at in the past. I know this isn't like a knife sharpening or a knife review video, but it is fun. And I wanted to do some of these because I definitely want to make sure I'm keeping the channel clean and fresh and new and not just making content to make content. I want to make content that I'm proud of, and I thought this would be fun. So let's turn this around, do some final thoughts. So there you go, guys. That was just a real quick talk about the differences between the different types of construction. And it's something that I know a lot of the guys that follow the channel already know, but there's a lot of new people to the channel and a lot of new people to the knife hobby. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to explain it because there are a lot of people like, why is this so expensive versus this one? And a lot of it just has to do with the work that goes into it. MIDTECHs are harder work than productions, and customs are way harder than anything. So that's it, guys. I love you all. That's not how we do this. If you like the videos, give them a thumbs up. If you don't like them, give them a thumbs down. Please try to tell me why I can't change the content. If you don't, tell me what you don't like. If you want to support the channel, it's as simple as like, share, subscribe, drop a comment, hit the bell icon. If you do hit the bell icon, make sure you've got notifications turned on your device or you will not get notified of all the content that goes up. If you want to support the channel financially, there's a handful of ways. I think I did a mid-roll about it. I have a ton of affiliate links down below. This channel is self-sponsored. That's how I pay for the stuff on the channel. Anything you guys purchase with those affiliate links, it does not cost you anything at checkout, and it supports the channel. I have a ton of affiliate links down there from different companies to a VPN to coffee, Blade HQ, Amazon. Anything you purchase with the Amazon links, it doesn't matter if it's something you clicked on or not. It does not matter. You can do all of your shopping in one stop. Get some knives, get some stones, get some shampoo, and use my affiliate link. Other ways you can do it, I have a membership down below that is tier-based. Pick a tier that gets you what you want out of the memberships. Everyone saves $5 off my sharpening service. Everyone has access to my gilded server. Premium and baseline tier members are automatically entered into giveaways that I do on the gilded server just about monthly. And if you are a premium tier member, you have access to a sharpening tutorial series here on YouTube that I've built for them. And the final way is, guys, I have a merchandise store on Ember Shirt Co where you can purchase my merchandise or other creators' merchandise, and I've set up a coupon code that will save you 10% at checkout anywhere on Ember Shirt Co, and that coupon code is CrazySharp, all one word, capital C, capital S. CrazySharp saves you 10% at checkout. And if you send me pictures of you wearing my merchandise, I will put them in a video at the end back here on the green screen. Guys, that's it. I love you all. Keep it clean in the comment section. If it's your birthday, happy birthday, and I will see you in the next video.